Hey guys, it's HulloAlice here, and I am back with the February premiere pack. This is the Karen brush markers pack, and I am so excited to dive into it. So I can see all of these awesome brush markers on top. Let me pull them all out. Okay, so these are the Karen brush markers, and there are 7 of them in here. And these have dye-based liquid ink technology. That means they're going to maintain their color until like the last drop. So you get to use all of the ink and it's not going to fade on you or anything like that, which is awesome. They have a nylon tip for super durability and flexibility. So these Karen brushes can also be mixed with each other. And you mix them or lighten them by holding the tips of the markers together and holding them upright. And apparently it will temporarily absorb the color of the upper marker so that you can create smooth transitions. So that is super exciting. So the colors in here are cool gray, turquoise, sapphire blue, indigo blue, apple, canary, and lilac. So the next thing that I see in here are these guys. These are Sakura Pigma pens, Micron pens. So there's a brush one, and it is in black. And there's also a 0.5 micron pen, also in black. So Sakura Micron pens are some of my favorites. They are so good, and they are waterproof. They're really quick drying, pigment ink, so it lasts. And it's also acid-free, archival, and fade resistant, which is great. So these will work wonderfully with the markers. I'm sure these work great with pretty much everything, honestly. The next thing in here is the Sakura Pigma Professional Brush. So this Pigma Professional Brush Pen, oh, this is the thick one. I think I've tried the smaller one of this, but I haven't tried the thicker one, so that's exciting. So you can create really thin strokes with the very tip of this, or really big broad strokes. It's supposed to be a really flexible and durable nib, and it's also black archival quality pigment ink that is waterproof and fade resistant. So the last thing in this box is the paper. So this is Canson Bristol Board. I am a huge fan of Bristol board for markers, so I'm super excited they sent this. This is a really thick pad. It has 25 sheets and it's 9 by 12, and it's a really smooth surface, so it's going to work really wonderfully with markers. Bristol board is so great for markers because it has a really smooth surface and it usually allows you to blend a little bit more easily, so that is awesome. So these are all of the supplies that you get in the February premiere pack for the Karen brush markers. I am so excited to try these, so I'm going to go grab my pencil, make a sketch, and then I will be back so that we can test out these brush markers and the pens and the paper. As with all of the Paletteful packs I get, the first thing that I need to do is swatch and test every single supply. I want to figure out how the markers are going to blend, lighten, and apply. I also want to try out different techniques to using them, such as trying them with a paintbrush and water to blend them out, since they appeared to be water-based. I also tested them over the top of the black ink pens provided to see how they worked with the other products. These supplies were really intriguing to me, and I've never used anything like them before. I found the ink to be really rich and vibrant with a very high pigmentation. After spending some time swatching and playing with the markers and seeing how they blend, I moved on to the line art. For my drawing, I was inspired by the fun colors of the markers and the unique color combinations that I was able to get. So I drew a funky looking fashion girl with some fun high-waisted flared pants and a cool turtleneck. I also decided to add some triangles to the background, just for a little added extra touch. When doing the line art, I started with the Sakura Pigma brush pen, which was so wonderful to work with. I used this for most of the edges on the line art, as the brush added weight and flow to the lines, which provided way more visual interest. I used the Sakura Pigma Micron in 0.5 millimeters to do any really fine details, such as her face, glasses, and pockets. This just gave me a lot more control, and I was able to use them together to create a piece that had controlled line art in these small and detailed areas, but then I could be a little bit more expressive in the larger, longer strokes. Since I didn't want any really heavy lines around the figure, I chose to use the thicker black pen to fill in a few black triangles in the background. That pen has a really thin point, so I was able to use it to sketch out and fill in the triangles, which made it really, really versatile. So I'm excited to try to use this again in a different piece where I use it for a little bit more of the line art as well. When I did finally move on to coloring, I wanted to try a bunch of different techniques, expanding on the ones that I had tried in the first swatching stage. So the first technique that I tried involved laying down the marker for shading, then adding water in with a brush to blend it out. And I used this technique to start the jeans with the blue marker. And this worked really, really nicely for the jeans. I then built on top of it with the gray marker. Because they're jeans, the gray marker added exactly that right amount of neutrals and kind of desaturation to the jeans to make them that great jeany color. The gray marker also proved very helpful for blending, as it's such a neutral midtone that I could use it as a blender style pen, though I do believe Carity brush pens do have a blender option available. I also think it would be interesting to try these pens with a water brush, though I didn't do that in this piece specifically. The other technique that I used most frequently was touching the tips of the markers together in order to transfer one color to another. This was the recommended blending method, so I really wanted to play around with it. I found that the flow of the ink transferring between the tips of the markers could be more easily controlled by adjusting the tilt of the upper marker when touching them, as well as the time that the tips were touching. If the marker is more directly vertical on top of the marker below it, then the ink is going to flow down a lot faster, but if you kind of tilt the marker on top to a slightly different angle, like a 45-degree angle, you get a little bit less ink, so you can control it a little bit. When first laid down, the upper color does come out very strong, but it fades as you continue to work with the marker. And I think this is most evident in the hair because of this method of shading. I wanted to try ombre hair, and this method did work perfectly for that. I was also able to use the gray to tone down some colors and make them a little bit less bright, as I mentioned with the jeans. As I mentioned before, these colors are so bright and vibrant. The yellow feels like it's going to vibrate off the page. It's almost like a highlighter yellow. And the ink on these feels very, very liquidy. It feels more liquidy than many alcohol markers I've used before, and they're extremely juicy. The ink sort of sits on top of the paper for a few moments, which allows you time to move it around and blend it. As it starts to dry, I found it much more difficult to blend with water, but it was still semi-blendable with the other markers. For her skin tone, since there was no red, orange, or pink, I decided to stick with a really simple gray and make the clothes the star of the show, kind of like a fashion illustration. I also used the markers as a flat color in the background to fill in the triangles and to add that little extra bit of cohesion to the drawing. One last thing I wanted to test with these pens was how well they would work with a white gel pen, which is often used to add highlights to marker work. So I used a white gel pen I already owned to add highlights onto the figure, as well as to add some light lines to separate her from the triangles in the background. I also wanted to test how the Micron pens would work over the top of gel pen and the markers for touching up the lines at the end, and this gave me an opportunity to do that as well. The gel pen went on over the markers and on the Bristol board really well and picked up very little of the color underneath, which was excellent. The pens went over the gel pen smoothly, and the ink was very dark and black. Everything worked together wonderfully. I hope that you enjoyed seeing this unboxing and demonstration of the February Paletteful Packs Premiere Pack with the Carity brush pens. These are a truly unique and fun supply to work with, and I can't wait to see what you all do with them and the art that you make. I hope you have as much fun playing around with these as I did. If you want your own Paletteful pack, make sure to click the link in the description to check out the website, and don't forget to subscribe to the Paletteful Packs YouTube channel to see all of our unboxing and demo videos the moment that they're posted. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!